Welcome to the 8th grade Math Homework Helper Series. Tonight's homework is EL3, Graphing Linear Functions Using Their Solutions. We'll start by taking a look at 1a. For 1a we have x plus y equals 7, and we have the coordinates 3, 4. Keep in mind, whenever you're looking at coordinates, x is always going to be your first number, y is always going to be your second number. Now we want to substitute these for x and y, and if it works out to be true, then we know that these two coordinates would be a point on this graph. So let's start by writing out the problem, and we know that x actually equals 3, so let's substitute 3 for x, and we know that 4 actually equals y. And if we take a look at this, 3 plus 4 does equal 7, so that tells us that, because it's true, 3, 4 is on the graph for the equation x plus y equals 7. Let's take a look at problem number 2a. For 2a, we have x plus 2y equals 5, and we have an unknown for our x value, and we have 2 for our y value. So we can plug 2 in at least as we rewrite this. So we have x, an unknown, plus 2 times y equals 5. So as we set this up, we know that the y equals 2, so 2 times 2, and we know that that's going to be 4. So it's x plus 4 equals 5, and we can set that up right here. Now, we want to isolate the x, so we're going to subtract 4 from this side, which is going to cancel it out, and subtract 4 from this side, which is going to give us 1. So we are left with x equals 1. And now we know that our actual coordinates were 1, 2. Number 3, we have 5 minus 2x equals k, and we know that x equals negative 2 and y equals negative 1. And we don't have a y in here to substitute, but we do have an x. So as we write this out, we can substitute negative 2 for that x, right? And we can do that right here. So we have negative 2 times negative 2 equals k. And if we go ahead and multiply those, we'll bring down the 5. 2 negatives make a positive. 2 times 2 is 4. There's our k. And 5 plus 4 equals k. So that tells us that 9 equals k. And now let's take a look at 4D. 4D has 3x minus y equals 5. So we want to isolate y on one side. So let's get rid of the k on this side. We can subtract, or x on this side I should say. So we subtract 3x from both sides. Do it over here. And that's going to give us a negative y equals, remember we can't actually subtract 3 from 5, because this has a variable attached to it and the 5 does not. So the 3x just comes down, negative 3x, and the positive 5. And now the only problem we have over here is that we have a negative y. So we need to divide by negative 1, and that will change. Negative 1 is only going to change the signs. It's not going to change any of the numbers through here. And if we do it on this side, we're going to have to do it to each number on the other side as well. So what that's going to do is it's going to give us a positive y equals positive 3x and a negative 5. Now let's take a look at number 5. We're going to graph each equation using a table of values. So the first thing we need to do is solve for y on this. Isolate y. So x equals 2y minus 3. So the first thing we want to do is we want to bring down the problem. We want to remove 3 from this side, so we add 3 to it, and if we do that over there, we have to do it over here. So what's that going to look like in the next step? We're going to have 3 plus the x that was already here equals 2y. And now we want to get rid of the 2. So we divide by 2. And of course, if we do that over there, we've got to do it over here. So what that looks like in our next step is 3 over 2 plus x over 2 equals y. We can't do much with the x, but we can take 3 over 2 and turn that into a mixed number. And of course, x by itself basically has a 1 next to it. So this becomes 1/2 x right here, and 3 over 2 is the same as 1 and 1/2. So we have 1 and 1/2 plus 1/2 x equals y. So there's the equation that we solved out. Now we need to actually use this equation to try and plot some points on a graph, and that's going to bring us to our next step. For step 5, we need to create a table of values. So we need to figure out what x is going to equal and what y is going to equal, and we're going to use this formula to help us figure that out. So first off, I'm going to take just any random number to start with x. So I choose -1. So I have to take that -1 and plug it into this formula for x. So I have 1/2, that's not going to change, plus 1/2. Now instead of x, I have -1, because that's what I chose, equals y. So I'm going to have to solve out what this works out to be. And I'm going to do it for the first one, but I'm not going to do it for the other ones. So let's come on over here. And if we take a look, so there's my 1 and 1/2 plus 1/2, -1 equals y. So what I need to do is I need to multiply these guys. And the -1, remember -1, we've been multiplying by -1 in this homework before, and all it does is change signs. So we still have our 1 and 1/2. Now our positive 1/2 before became a -1/2 equals y. And now if I go ahead and do my subtraction, I should be able to show that if I subtract 1/2 from 1/2, it's going to leave me with 1, and so y equals 1. And so that's what y is going to equal. Y is going to equal 1. And so my x value is -1, my y value +1. There it goes. Alright, another random number to choose for x. Again, you can pick any number you want. I'm just randomly picking these numbers. I have 1. I'm going to substitute in this same equation. Now I'm going to use a +1 for x. And if I solve that out, it's going to work out to be 2 as my answer. I take my 1 for my x value, my 2 for my y value, and I record them. I'm going to choose 3 for my next number. Again, I plug that 3 into the formula, solve it out, and I get 3. So my next coordinate is 3, 3. 3 on the x-axis, 3 on the y-axis. My last number I choose is 5. I plug that into the formula, and when I work it out, I get 4 as an answer. And so my x and y coordinates are 5 and 4. Now, if I come down to my grid, what I want to do is I want to plot each of these points. So I start here at 0, 0 right in the center, and I have a -1 come over to the left, +1 up 1, and I put my spot right on the mark there. Now I have a 1, 2, start back at 0. I move on the x-axis 1, I move up 2 on the y-axis, plot my point. Start back at 0 at my origin. Then I move 3 to the right, 3 up. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I should notice that these are starting to make a diagonally straight line. And then I have 5, 4. So I'm going to move over on the x-axis to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you can see, I've plotted all the points. And you can see it makes a straight line. And so what this tells me then, I need to name this plot that I just put forth here, that the name of this plot is 1 and 1/2 plus 1/2 x equals y. And I know that to be true because I was able to maintain a straight line with every equation, with every number x that I put in here, every value for x. Please use these answers that I gave you to help solve the additional problems that are on your homework tonight. Remember, the key to being successful in math is not only working hard, but working smart.